Hey, what's going on, guys? I hope you guys are doing well. I wanted to come in for a second and talk to you guys about something that was on my brain today. As you guys know, my wife is a relationship therapist. She's a licensed therapist and works with a lot of couples and stuff like that. So we talk about a lot of relationshipy topics. And one of the things that I was thinking about today is a couple things that I notice a lot of people don't talk about. And so I'm going to go ahead, first of all, and greet you and say hello to everybody. And welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. We cater to Black people that actually want to think. Now, let me do something here. Now, you said that there's no sound. Are you guys able to hear me? Give me a yes in the chat if you're able to hear me, okay? Give me a yes if you can hear me, a no if you can't hear me. Can you hear me? Give me a yes. You can't hear me? Okay. If you can't hear me, let me try to see if I can. I'll restart this again. Okay, this is irritating. Hold on. Okay, hold on. Am I coming through now? Well, give me a yes in the chat if you can hear me. Say yes. Say yes if you can hear me. I need a yes now because now I'm feeling a little bit paranoid. Okay, good. All right. So let me kind of just jump out here, and I hope I can share this and still be loved. I hope that this is something that can help somebody. And let me explain why I bring it out like that. A lot of times people think that when I talk about relationship topics that I'm kind of stepping outside of the lane that I have as a financial expert. Now, one of the things I can tell you as a financial expert and as a 50-year-old married Black man is that relationships and relationship management is probably one of the most important things that you'll ever do when it comes to wealth and everything else. When you talk about what it means to be successful and to get ahead in life. If you ever want to ruin your life, just go have a bad relationship. Give me a yes in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. Go out and have a terrible relationship, and you'll see how fast your life gets ruined. And what's up, Super Dave? How you doing, man? Super Dave plays. We play Call of Duty together. He's really good. He's much better than me. So anyway, here's what I want to share with you guys real quick, and I'm just going to share it, and then I'm going to bounce on out of here. So here's the deal. I did a survey with you guys on my YouTube channel, and I said, are you happy with your relationships? Are you happy with your love life? And I had very happy, somewhat unhappy, and very unhappy. And about 50% of you, half of you, said you were either very unhappy or somewhat unhappy. So half of you are not happy with your relationship status. Now, you don't have to answer that in the chat, but I just want to say I'm talking to the half that are trying to figure it all out, because I understand. I understand how you might feel. And I just want to share a couple things. And again, if you think that what I say is wrong or crazy or stupid, then that's fine. It's okay. You don't have to listen. But I just want to tell you that when here's the deal. My background is I'm a mathematician, and as a mathematician, when you see a problem, you solve the problem. As a mathematician, I can tell you that one thing you don't do if you want to solve a problem is to either do it the same way you've always done it, because you're going to get the same outcome, or to do what everybody else is doing, who isn't solving the problem. And I don't know if y'all notice this, but there are a lot of people that get really bad relationship advice, particularly on the internet, from people who don't have healthy, happy lives. I know a lot of internet influencers. I have made probably 10 or 15 people famous on the internet because I have a million subscribers, and I push them out there and they become famous or whatever. Some of the people out here are mentally disturbed. Let's just be clear. The reason that they're interesting in a lot of cases is because they are so mentally disturbed, and people love to see a crazy Negro act a goddamn fool on the internet. They like that. You love the idea of watching a 45-year-old teenager have a meltdown publicly, because that's more interesting to watch than somebody who's actually speaking about things that are rational and intelligent and actually going to improve your life. The salty, fatty, greasy, unhealthy food is always going to taste better than the food that is good for you. This is what it is. That's life. That's how things work. Okay. So here's the deal. When I looked at the survey results, one of the things that crossed my brain was this. You may or may not know my story. I'll give you a little bit of the background so you know where this is coming from. When people tell me that they don't want to get married, I totally understand. I totally get it. I met another guy my age, and he said, these are the reasons why I'm not ready to get married. I said, yep, I agree with that. I agree with that. I agree with that. I agree. I understand all of that. Now, mind you, I made a different choice from him. I chose to get married. But pay attention. Now, number one, I didn't get married when I was 30. I got married when I was in my 40s, my mid 40s. That was strategic. That was deliberate. That did not happen by accident. I had a million opportunities to get married. I just waited until I was ready. And I think that's okay to do. I think you should always follow the policy that works best for you. I don't think you should let anybody pressure you into living a life that you don't want to live. The other thing about it was I didn't just wait until a point where I was ready to do it, but I had to wait until a point I was ready to do the work. And I told my friend, I said, marriage, I understand marriage is a lot of work. Marriage requires a lot of skill sets that don't come very natural, especially for me as a man. I'm an independent man. I've been an entrepreneur for a long time. I like to run and do what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it. So having that, that need to answer to another person it's really foreign for a lot of people. It was very foreign for me. And so here's the deal. Here's where I'm getting at. Here's what I'm trying to share with y'all. And I hope that you can hear this. Y'all know me. Sometimes it takes me a second to get to the point, but I promise you there's a sweet spot at the end. There's like, that Tootsie Pop. There's like the juicy, the bubble gums in the middle. I promise you. One of the things I've concluded is that if you go down the journey of trying to form a relationship with another person, a lot of people, in my view, are picking based on the wrong criteria. The wrong criteria. What do I mean by that? Well, I see a lot of men who will fall in love with a woman just like that because of how good she looks. Or a lot of women that will fall in love with a man because he's got money or status or whatever. I saw it. I saw women fall. When I became rich and famous, and everybody knows I've made millions of dollars. I can't hide it no more, right? When I became rich and famous, I saw women fall in love with me just like that. And again, because I overthink everything, I remember thinking that is absolutely unbelievable that you fell in love with me and you know nothing about me. I had a beautiful woman email me and tell me all the things that she'd fallen in love with my brain from watching me every day. And I get it. I understand they're called sapiosexuals, right? And so, so sometimes a big brain is like, some women respond to a big brain the way men respond to a big booty or whatever, right? And so she's telling me all these things. And I was just sitting there thinking, you don't even know me. This is very dangerous for you. I could be a terrible person. I could be a predator. But yet you've decided in advance that you love me. Why? Okay. Well, here's the problem that you have when you do that. When you start just sort of falling in love with people just because of what they look like, or because of what you think they can bring to your life, or because because you think that person can give you status or whatever, you're not factoring in what I think is probably one of the most important dimensions of a good relationship. That is their willingness to do the work required to be in a relationship with you. Now, there's a comedian named Corey Holcomb. I met Corey. He's not my cup of tea. He's he's a little bit of a clown, but he's not a stupid clown. And I heard him make a joke one time, and I couldn't disagree with the joke. And one thing that he said was, he said a lot of times the reason the person is with you is because you're the best that they can get. He said, so if your man ever gets rich and gets a whole lot of money or becomes famous, he'll break up with you over anything. Like, so you cough funny, you cough, he's gonna look at you like, I can't do this no more. I can't do this no more. Right. And so what he was saying, and I couldn't disagree with his point, is that there's a difference between being in a relationship with somebody who is willing to do all the work required to make this thing work versus being in a relationship with somebody who feels like you can be easily replaced. When I told my wife, we were talking about why I married my wife. And I said, look, I'm not a marriage guy. I didn't grow up fantasizing about my wedding day. I could have went my whole life and never got married. I said, I didn't get married because I was interested in the idea of marriage. I got married because I wanted to marry you. I was willing to do that for you. There were other women who wanted to marry me over time. There's quite a few of them. But I got married because I wanted to be married to you. And I'm willing to do the work for you. And I'm willing to be on my best behavior for you. I'm willing to give 100% for you. Right. And so what that basically communicates, and I'm really kind of giving like a hint for anybody that's trying to sort of figure this out, is I think that there is value in choosing people who really feel like you can't be replaced. And my wife feels the same way about me. She's willing to put up with a whole lot of crap that I might drag her through because she really, really wants to be with me. She really, really loves me. Right. And I made sure that before we ever move forward, I wasn't trying to just get with the finest woman I could get with. My wife is gorgeous. I think she's beautiful. But you know what? Think about it like this. There's a lot of conversation on the internet about high value men and high value women and all this other bullshit. Right. Which I'm not saying that high value doesn't exist, But if you think it's all about the superficial stuff, then that means we're not the same kind of person. I think it's much deeper than just how much money you make or how good you look. I think there are 1,000 dimensions you got to consider when you're talking about a life partner. But whatever, we'll let the internet do what the internet does. But here's the deal. Let's say you rank people in your mind. Everybody has a ranking. My psychology professor was explaining how we all have rankings of people. So let's say you have two people you could date. One's a 10, right? Pay attention. You follow me? Give me a yes if you're following me. One's a 10 and one's a 8. An 8 isn't bad, but an 8 is not a 10, right? The 10 is like, oh man, did you see that? Whoa, right? The 8 is like, okay, she's cute. She looks good, right? So here's the deal. Let's say that the 10 is, a person who, is interested in you, but they're not falling all over you because I mean they're a 10. And then let's say that she knows she's a 10. So she knows she can find another man of your equivalent to if she wants to, or he can find another woman that's about as pretty as you because he's the star of the football team or whatever. He's in the NBA and he's got $10 million. So he knows that women are everywhere, but he's willing to be with you, right? But then let's say that the 8 feels like you are the greatest thing ever. Let's say that the 8 is like, holy shit, I'm not gonna mess this up because being with her is literally the greatest thing that ever happened to me. I want to really, really give 100% to this relationship. Now pay attention now. So here's what I've seen happen. This can occur, right? So let's say the 10 says, yeah, sure, I'll be with you, but I'm not going, I'm not going to go too far to maintain this relationship. Like, I'm not going to let you, disrespect me. I'm not going to put up with, I'm only going to put up with so much or whatever, right? So what happens is that with the 10, you're going to get, let's say you get 60% of his best effort, right? 60% is pretty good. Not 100%, but 60%, right? Well, 60% of 10 is a 6, right? So because he's only giving you 60% of his best because you can be easily replaced, you're not getting a 10, you're really actually getting a 6. But the 8 gives you 100%. The 8 says, I'm going to do everything I absolutely possibly can to make sure this relationship works. I will swim through a river of fire and walk 100 miles just to be next to this woman because being with her is the greatest thing that ever happened in my life. Well, that means that, okay, he might still only be an 8, but you're getting 100% of an 8. 100% of an 8 is an 8. So you're not comparing a 10 to an 8. You're actually comparing an 8 to a 6. I would rather have 100% of an 8 than to have 60% of a 10. Now, ideally, of course, you want to get 100% of a 10. You want to find the dream is you find somebody that's a 10, they give you everything they got, whatever, and you lucky, right? That can happen. That can occur. I'm not saying it's impossible, but sometimes that's a fantasy. That's not, y'all know what I'm talking about. People who are quote unquote high value, whatever that means, like that man that's making all that money. He knows what his options look like. His phone is full of options, that are constantly competing with you on a daily basis. Right. That sometimes you meet that woman who knows she's a 10. She's taking 25 selfies a day because she's got 1,000 men in her DM that are basically saying, as soon as he messes up, just give me a call. I'll do everything that he's not willing to do. You've always got a better offer out there. So the point I want to make with you all is that I think that when you're talking about, I'm talking about really trying to like do a relationship. I'm not talking about hooking up and dating and sex and all that. That's easy. That's easy stuff. Sex is everywhere. People don't value it the way they used to, whatever. I don't know. Maybe I'm old fashioned, right? But it is what it is. I'm not judging. But when you're talking about really trying to create something with a life partner, you better find somebody that's willing to work as hard as you to make the relationship work, or don't do it. Don't do it. If you're going in and you're not willing to do the work and they're not willing to do the work, then basically it's going to be like you have a house together and the kitchen's got shit all over the floor and neither one of y'all really want to clean up anything. Neither one of y'all is willing to clean up the mess. You say, well, I'm not doing it because I didn't make the mess. So I ain't trying to get down there and get on my hands and knees and scrub the floor. And then they're like, well, I ain't doing it either. And next thing you know, when shit gets really messy, which it always does, every relationship that I've ever seen where people are together for more than say 3 or 4 years, you always have these really hard situations. You have these times where you feel pissed off, you feel disrespected, you feel like, man, I ain't got to put up with this shit. Like, what the hell? And you have to have something that's going to make you say, you know what? I'm going to go do the work. I'm going to go ahead and humble myself because this woman is worth it, or because this man is worth it. This is something I'm, and if you are that type of person who already has that built in you, I would encourage you to not just measure people based on where they rank, whether they're an 8 or a 10, but measure them based on where their effort level is. for you? Are they willing? Are they willing, and are they even equipped to do the work necessary to make a relationship work? If somebody never even saw a healthy relationship growing up, like you never even saw like two healthy adults loving each other over a long period of time, that is a difficult skill to learn because it doesn't look real flashy compared to like easy sex. I mean, seriously, the guys I know, like I was talking to a friend of mine about a guy we knew in college who was a star of the basketball team. Could have had any girl he wanted. And she said, "Yeah, I thought about dating that guy, but I wasn't really sure because blah, 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 blah." And I said, "No, I know how he was built. His parents were married for 40 years. I bet you if you look this guy up after he retired from the NBA, he's probably living a Grant Hill kind of life. He's probably got a wife and got children and is living a simple life." Right. Even though he could have had all these other things that come with being an NBA player, people tend to go back to the foundation of what they saw growing up. A guy who never saw that, in many cases I've seen, they'll look at something like marriage and family and say, why in the hell would I want to do that? Why in the hell do I want to take care of kids? Why in the hell do I want to put up with this woman when I can have five of them? Right. And I get that. I'm not judging that. But what I'm saying is that if you, whatever kind of person you are, however you're built, you want to find somebody who's equally yoked in terms of their value system. Right. And I'm not talking about just whether or not he goes to church or she, whatever makes a certain amount of money. I'm talking about just like, are we really seeing the same vision when we talk about what a family, what a relationship looks like? And also, are you the kind of person that really needs to fit into every aspect of my life? Now, how many of y'all consider yourselves to be ambitious people? Like, give me a yes in the chat if you consider yourself to be a person that has a long-term plan, if you have big goals, if you have big dreams, if you one day expect to maybe be a millionaire or build a business or whatever. How many of y'all have what you consider to be plans that are more ambitious than most of the people that you maybe grew up with? Give me a yes in the chat for all the ambitious people in the room. Okay, so if you're in that category, then who you pick to be next to you is extremely important. You have a different, unique kind of spiritual disposition. Not everybody is going to fit into that or fold into that. And if you connect with toxic people, they will distract you from that. They will pull you away from that. They'll cause you to deviate from that. So I was a little bit different. I was what I might have been considered. I guess I would be considered to be a nerd if you think that making good grades makes you a nerd. But I don't, I think making good grades makes you smart, but whatever. But I studied a lot harder than all my friends. So I didn't want to be around. I dated a dumb girl in college, and it was very frustrating because I'd want to go to the library and she would want study for 30 minutes and then go watch TV. And I was like, no, we should be studying. We got to build our future. So what I did was when I met the woman I married, I never forgot about the fact that I met her in the library. I didn't meet her in the club. I didn't meet her in church. I didn't meet her at the grocery store. I met her in the library because I kind of like the idea of hanging out with a woman where you can say, "Hey, babe, let's go to the library," and she's not going to look at you like you're a weirdo. She's not going to say, why you be reading all the time?" No, my wife reads 22 books a year. I love that about her. I think that's awesome, right? So figure out who you are and find somebody who kind of fits into that. And because if you don't, I think you can create a lot of frustration. Also, the greatest way to lose your wealth is through divorce, things like that. So when you do form a relationship with somebody you really want to work it out with, I encourage you to invest in things like relationship therapy, because what that does is it benefits you in a lot of ways, financially, emotionally, and otherwise. Because if you preserve and protect that relationship, then that means you spend less time fighting and you can spend more time building together. You solve your problems, get them out of the way, almost like cleaning junk out of the room, so you can focus on actually building that empire you're trying to build together. So getting that relationship therapist or that counseling, I think is extremely important. I think also remember this: it's not just what you do; it's about sort of who you connect to and what they're willing to do. So think about it like this. This is the last analogy I'll give, and then I'll be done with this. So think about it like starting a business, right? When you get married, you really are entering into a legal contract. You sign a piece of paper, your assets are connected. It's a very much a legal commitment, right? So don't do it unless you really, really understand this, right? So let's say you're starting a business and you got two people you can invest with. You got one person who's a millionaire, and then the other person who's only got $100,000. So one person's got a million, and the other's got $100,000. But let's say the one who's got a million is only willing to put in maybe 5% of his money. He's only willing to put 5% of his time, 5% of his energy. The person with 100,000 gives you 100%. Well, 5% of a million is 50,000. 100% of 100,000 is 100,000. So I would rather invest with the person who's got fewer resources, who's willing to give it all, than the person who's got everything and only willing to give me a tiny little fraction. And a lot of times I find that occurs in relationships. I think that when you're trying to make things work with somebody who wants it to work as bad as you do, it's much easier than trying to make things work with somebody who doesn't even give a damn. Somebody who gives you ultimatums constantly, who constantly says take it or leave it, or I'm not putting up with this, I'm not putting up with that. I you know and so I think these little things are things that people don't really talk about or think about, because I see a lot of people just chasing the cutest girl or chasing the man with the most money. And I really think that intelligent black people should think more deeply than that. Okay, all right. So anyway, and that's why we actually had speed dating at the last All Black National Convention. It went over really well. So we're gonna do it again this year. In fact, I'll probably have speed dating at all the events that I bring my wife to, because she's a relationship therapist, as you know, and she's also into matchmaking and relationships and all that. And she's actually educated me on a lot of the cutting edge techniques that therapists use to really work with their clients and stuff like that. So I will encourage you, like, take the time to learn these things, because I'm gonna tell you, you got a lot of crazy ass people in your community. I hate saying it, but it's, y'all know it's true. White people crazy too, we know that, right? But with black people, you've got trauma everywhere. You've got all kinds of just dysfunctional, really crazy, ridiculous scenarios that people grew up with, and it's really frustrating. I think if you kind of have a clear vision of what you want a family to look like, but you're trying to build that vision with somebody who has no vision, whose vision is all messed up, who just lives off drama, lives off chaos or whatever. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what you do with those relationships, but I personally would encourage you to think about it, because that toxicity is very contagious and you don't want them to infect your life. Okay. All right. So anyway, I hope that this was helpful. Again, I do not pretend to be a relationship expert. I only know what I know. And I just wanted to share this for anybody in case this actually helps you, especially when I saw the survey results where 50% of you said you're not happy with your dating life. I think being strategic and getting information and advice from as many people as you can be beneficial. But I would also encourage you to, if you're getting advice from anybody, then I would take a look at their relationship too. Like, don't let that girlfriend who can't keep a man tell you how to treat your man. That's the dumbest shit ever. Don't let that guy who has no concept of what it means to respect a woman teach you how to deal with women. That doesn't make sense either. I really think that the proof is in the potato salad. Show me your relationship. Show me that you've been married, 20, 30 years, 40 years, and then I'm going to listen to you. I listened to Dr. Claude Anderson talk to me about marriage. You know why? Because Dr. Anderson's been married to his wife since the 70s. He knows when to stand up. He knows when to sit down. He knows when to hold them. He knows when to fold them, knows when to walk away, knows when to run. Like that old song, like he understands all that. So I listen to him and we talk about marriage. We talk about our wives. We both have wives who got PhDs from Florida State University, who are very smart, strong women who have strong opinions. But we're both very strong men. So we figure out how to negotiate that. And I learned from listening to him. I talk to him every single week, and we talk about how it can be frustrating to deal with a wife who sometimes has a vision that's different from your own, but neither one of us would have what we have and be what we are and do what we do without the support of our wives, of being able to get along with our wives. Okay, so when you hear this, so I'm going to tell you, I draw a line in the sand when I start hearing rhetoric that is incredibly anti-woman, because I just don't think that is something that the community can build on. You can't be pro-black and anti-woman at the same time. You can't. Because you can't have a black community without the black woman. Communities come from men and women. So same thing's true with men. You can't be anti-black man and be pro-black community. So the black women that sit out there and constantly talk shit about black men as a collective, they might as well be racist. They might as well be white supremacists. So you get advice from people who know what the hell they're doing. Get advice from people that have experience. Get advice from people who can show you success. Not just people who sound good, not just people who tell you what you want to hear, not just people, some guy who takes his shirt off and tells you that everything in your relationship is the man's fault and that the man is the reason that your life ain't what it is. No, maybe you need somebody to check you. Maybe you need somebody to fix your shit. The same thing. Same thing is true on the male side. These women, they need to be shut down. These hoes need to learn how to shut up. These bad wenches need to sit their ass down. What? That's not a cooperative community. But what that is populist toxicity that tends to do well on the internet, because we like to see, because we're all so sick that we love to see people tearing each other down. We love to see the black man destroying the black woman. We love to see the black woman destroying the black man. And I encourage you to walk away from that and walk into a space of love and mutual benefit that will make you happy long term. And that is also something you can build off of. All right. So, anyway, guys, I'm about to get out of here. God bless you. Love you. And my website is boycewatkins.com. And if you want to check out my wife's stuff, if you're on Instagram, she's at Coaching with Dr. Alicia. Her website is coachingwithdralicia.com. And that's just, I want to give a shout out to her and what she does. And she really benefits me in a lot of ways. So much respect to everybody out here. God bless you. Thank you for listening. I love you. And I'll see you soon. Take care now. Peace.